Hey nerds, welcome back to the channel. This is Jared. I think there's a lot of ridiculous things that people sort of say to artists. There's a lot of ridiculous art tips out there. There's so much stupidity that's said to people. I just want to cover a lot of the things that I've heard as an artist that I really don't agree with. Okay, so without further ado, the first one I want to talk about is don't use an eraser. I'm not sure why this is even a thing. Maybe to get people comfortable with making mistakes. I don't really know. I think to err is human, and so is trying to fix our mistakes and learning from them. So don't worry about using an eraser or not. Do whatever helps you grow in quality the quickest. If not using an eraser is the way to do that for you, more power to you. But if not, then great. But don't tell artists to not use an eraser while they're learning. Like it's some kind of magical method for the best improvement. I think it's detrimental for people. I don't think it's the best way to learn. And I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but I think that's terrible advice to give a beginning artist. Use your eraser. If you want to erase a mistake, go for it. There shouldn't be like some weird stigma on using an eraser. Most animators will tell you, an eraser is your best friend, so use it. There's nothing like weird about using an eraser. Use whatever helps you to grow, is what I'm getting at. The second thing is, you need to draw from imagination. This is absolutely terrible advice, especially for beginners. Almost nobody on the planet has eidetic memory unless you're freaking Sheldon Cooper. No, but seriously, the only artists I know of are Kim Jung-gi and Karl Kopinski. Use a freaking reference photo. That's how we learn. The more references we use to draw from, the better artists we become and the more we can eventually draw from memory. This was very detrimental for me in my early stages of learning because I felt like a fraud for not drawing from imagination on every drawing. And I would get so freaking frustrated and I couldn't figure out a pose or a perspective on a weird angle. Just use a freaking reference photo. Take your own. Especially if you can, take your own. Get comfortable with using a camera and photography, because if you learn to do those things, you can learn composition as well. That's a little bonus tip for you if you're a beginning artist. Get used to taking good photos, especially good reference photos. Use good lighting. Don't be afraid to draw from an image. It's not a bad thing. Most artists do it. 98% of artists out there do it. So don't feel bad for using reference photos. They're amazing. Oh, the third thing that people have told me, and this is very common, I'm sure most artists hear this, is you won't make money making art. Dude, there are so many freaking jobs in the creative fields. This piece of advice really only applies to artists who think they'll be the next like Andy Warhol or Basquiat. Selling paintings for millions of dollars in galleries. Just based on statistics alone, that piece of advice may be a little bit right. It's very unlikely to happen. However, there are tons of jobs in the entertainment industry, marketing industry, and pretty much any industry out there. They all need designers, they all need creatives, and they all need art makers for their businesses. The hard part about getting an art job is, I think as artists we tend to be introverts, and so we need to get our freaking introverted artist butts out there to meet people and network with the necessary people. And if you can do that, if you can grow outside of your space a little bit, I can almost guarantee you that you'll find a field or a job in the arts. It's number 4 and top worst bad advice given. Draw every day. If you can accomplish this piece of advice here, fantastic for you, but 98% of us will not be able to, no matter how hard we try. Life comes at us all in different sorts of ways, and to put pressure on ourselves to do something like this is oftentimes what kills our creative drive. So draw as often as you can. That's better advice. The best advice is to draw when you feel inspired or creative. I have another video on how I keep my creative juices flowing, so go check that one out to be a creative powerhouse. But don't put ridiculous goals like this on yourself. Draw as often as you can so you can see yourself improving, whether that's 10 drawings a month or 200. Do whatever you're capable of without burning yourself out. Don't put these crazy ridiculous goals of like drawing every day over your head and on your shoulders. It's not healthy mentally. You don't have to draw every day to improve. Just draw as much as you can. Draw as much as you want and feel that you can in order to improve as an artist. Number 5 is a big one for me. You need to find your style first. This is terrible advice. This is the biggest load of crap that most artists feed into, and I have always hated this with a passion. Is developing style a good thing? Of course, absolutely. You should develop a way that you like to draw and express emotions and shapes. However, when critiquing beginning artists on certain things like anatomical errors or perspective errors, and they say things like, "Oh, well, that's just my style," it makes me want to slap you. Like, you need to understand the fundamentals in order to exaggerate them. After you have a basic understanding of anatomy, perspective, shape design, and color theory, then you can worry about finding your style. And oftentimes it just comes naturally. For example, like Pablo Picasso was drawing like super breathtaking anatomical figures, I think at like 12 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe in my art history classes they showed us like anatomical drawings that Pablo Picasso did at like 12 years old, and they were amazing. And it wasn't until much later that he started to break the rules and work into cubism. Please, please, please learn the fundamentals first before worrying about finding your style. I actually think that style comes very naturally when you do it this way, and you don't have to worry about being unique. After doing it for so long, you eventually will be unique without even noticing it. Number 6, you were born with talent, so a lot of people can't do it. Hogwash. Yes, some people are more artistically inclined and pick it up a little faster than others. However, anyone can be an artist if they want. They just gotta put in the time, put in the hours, and take what's ours, just like everybody else. No single artist ever got to where he or she is overnight, except for maybe Frank Frazetta. Legends say that he took Bridgman's figure drawing book and drew the whole thing one night, and that's how he learned to draw the human figure. But it's probably a load of crap. I love Frazetta's work, but I think this is a lie to make himself seem a little bit more godlike. Everybody has to work to be good at something. You can't just expect to pick something up and be good at it. It would be nice, but 'tis not so, I'm sorry to tell you. So don't believe the lie that people say that, oh, you can only do art if you're born with the talent. It's not how it works. That's crap. So, yeah. Number 7 is the different ways to draw a head. I've been seeing this a lot recently. There's a lot of videos out there with crazy geometrical methods of drawing the face. For example, I just saw this thing, the 5x8 method, where you draw like 5 squares across and 8 squares down, and then you fill in the face. And although like this is good practice for like this is good practice for like proportions and stuff like that. It's a very easy way to get same face syndrome, so just be careful with this kind of stuff. Like there's another one, the triangle on the nose, there's circles around the different parts of the face. I mean, they just make me laugh. Like I said, some of them are good for studying like general proportions, but in all actuality, every face is extremely different. The Loomis method for me was the best way because there's a lot of freedom around it. The Loomis method for me I think is the best way because it gives you a lot of freedom to draw around those proportions. Just be wary of all these methods that people teach you on social media, because if you always use them, not only are they time consuming, they'll give you a bad case of same face for every character you draw. So just be careful with the art advice that's given out there. Even my advice, if it doesn't work to improve your art, just try something else. There are tons of great different methods to learning art. Pick whatever works for you and keep going. Everybody's art path is going to be a little different. So take everything with a grain of salt. Even if people have good intentions, it might not be the best method for you in order to improve. Use your discerning powers to pick and choose the things that people tell you, the advice and education that's given to you, to best improve the way you think best. It's your art. At the end of the day, you get to choose how to express yourself, how to improve, what to improve on, what's the most important thing for you to be working on at a given time. So You make those choices as the artist to improve. And be creative with it, you know, have fun learning. Don't let people get you down. I should make another video on like getting rid of toxic, I kind of hate the word toxic now because everybody uses it, but getting rid of like negative people in your life that, you know, sort of bring you down with bad advice and things of that nature, but we could talk about that in a later date. So anyways, guys, I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you really enjoy the content. If you really like it, smash the like button, subscribe, come back for some more, share it with your friends, do all of the things. I love you guys. Have a great week, and I wish you all the best on your fantastic art journeys. Love you too, bye.